Well, hello everyone. This is Neil with Graveside Paranormal Presents Spirits by the Graveside. Today's date is 3/13/2022, and with me tonight is my always lovely Jill Urchek, my co-host. How are
Hi,
you?
Neil.
How's everything?
Good. A little tired. I'm not gonna lie. This time change with the 7-year-old, a little
I'm
tough.
telling you, that time change actually messed me up today, man.
Yeah.
I woke up and one clock it says it's 6 o'clock, one clock says it's 7 o'clock. I'm like, what the hell? I gotta take my pills.
You just
See, when you start to get a little bit older,
chills.
you got to start taking certain little pills that you got to take in the morning, or your whole day is going to be all messed up.
Oh, that's hilarious.
Yeah, so you got to make sure that you do all that good stuff. And to everybody out there, happy St. Patrick's Day weekend. As you can see, I'm all dressed and ready to go. Grab me a beer, grab me a corned beef sandwich. Going to make sure I guzzle down that beer and eat down that corned beef sandwich. Are you going to have any corned beef this weekend, Jill?
No, but if it was here, I'd eat it. I just didn't go out of my way for it.
Yeah. All
No, I
right.
do like corned beef though.
Yeah.
When it's made right, it could be really rubbery.
Yeah, you got to make sure you cook it right. Like I
Oh.
have one in the crock pot right now. I've been cooking
Oh,
since
you
11
do.
a.m. this
Oh,
morning.
it must smell good
Yeah.
in your house.
Oh, it's man, it smells really good. I have all those good vegetables in there and everything, which is really,
Mm.
really good. Now, I would like to say a special to our producer, happy birthday. Steve Egon Lineweber.
Oh,
Today is his birthday. Happy birthday, buddy.
Well, not
happy
today. It
birthday.
happened.
Just so everybody, go ahead.
It happened a week ago. But
Yeah, well, just,
yeah, I
just
hit the big 5-0. So, yep.
Yeah, shit happens, dude. This shit happens. So I like to wish him a big happy birthday. This show could not happen without our main man and our producer, Steve Egon Lineweber.
No.
A lot of things can't happen without him, so I want everybody to please wish him a good happy birthday tonight. And always blessings to Steve for all the hard work that he does.
Yes.
Thank you, Neil. All right.
Jesus,
I'm going to drop in the background now. And
drop in the background, man.
Rolling.
Let's get this show rolling. All right. So actually, we have a lot of cool news today, and we got some special announcements. Guess who's going to be back with us tonight? Mr. Paul Garratt-Proctor from the UK, our Graveside Paranormal connection out of the UK, will be telling us a story today, which will be very, very cool. So let's get Steve rolling on the news. All right, on New Jersey Post. Bees ejaculate themselves to death. What an unhappy ending. Thought sweating on a hot day was uncomfortable? During an intense Canadian heat wave, male honeybees literally ejaculated themselves to death in an apocalyptic love explosion. According to a bombshell study report by scientists at the University of British Columbia in Canada, when drones die from shock, they spontaneously ejaculate, said Dr. Alison McAfee, the study's author and postdoctoral fellow at UBC's Michael Smith Laboratories, who has studied bee health extensively. Now, I know it doesn't have anything to do with the paranormal whatsoever. But
well,
weird, man. I never knew that. Did you know that, Jill?
No. First of all, I'm terrified of bees because I just don't like bees. I did not know they exploded. I'm more concerned that somebody would be watching them that closely.
Yeah.
I don't know.
Who has the time?
Bee watchers.
You corrected
This
me.
is why I'm your co-host. Bee watchers.
That's why you're my co-host, exactly. Jill, I think you have some news for us. Roll it, Jill.
Well, you heard of the talking heads. We all know that group, correct? But a box of human heads intended for medical research has been stolen. Denver police are trying to find out who stole them and what happened in Denver's Central Park neighborhood on Thursday morning. The medical van transporting the heads was parked near 23rd and Syracuse Street at approximately 11 a.m. Police say someone broke into the truck, stole a dolly and the blue and white box, which had the label exempt human specimen written on it. Please say if someone finds the box thrown away, they should call them. Can you imagine finding a box of heads?
No, I don't know what to say to that.
Really, the shock.
that's definitely a shock. I mean, let's say the Amazon guy, you see him pull up in a truck, and you're thinking, "Oh my God, I went and got that special thing I was going to buy for my loved one."
Mm-hmm.
And then you're going, "Oh, I can't wait to get this out." And you go, "Woo!" And then all of a sudden, you cut it open, and there's a head.
Yes, heads, plural.
Heads.
Yeah.
Wow.
Oh, you just got to get ahead of the game.
Ooh, you're like Steve today. You're like Steve today.
Steve.
That's a good one.
Thank you.
All right. Well, thank you, Jill.
You're
now,
welcome.
let's go right to our UK. Paul Garratt-Proctor, come from us, from the UK, across the sea.
Hello again from the UK. This is Paul Garratt-Proctor here to bring you another British legend, and dare I say a very spooky one. Unlike what I talked about last time, Holbeach House, this place is actually very accessible to the public and does welcome psychic and paranormal investigations, even hosts nights where people can go as participants in ghost hunts. It is called the Ancient Ram Inn, based in Wootton under Edge in Gloucestershire. Now, this place was built, so according to the records, 1145, built on a pagan burial ground and also above several ley lines, one of which was traced right back to Stonehenge itself. Now, the building was once home to workers and even slaves. For a time, it was a home to a priest. Over the years, though, it became an actual, public house and an inn where people could book rooms and stay the night. For a number of years, it stayed like that. It was in 1968, though, that it was taken over by John Humphreys, who wished to make it his home. Now, John Humphreys experienced paranormal activity to quite extreme levels from the word go. He was dragged out of his bed by unseen forces, thrown across the room. It's even been said that he was sexually assaulted by entities in this building. Now, it is also said that John's wife and daughter refused to live there with him, yet he insisted on staying there throughout the rest of his life. Now, during this time, he did uncover evidence of satanic rituals that took place on the grounds, even finding the bones of murdered children. So, we're talking something with some real history here, some real dark stuff was going on there. And so what we really had was a place that, people would still come and stay the night, kind of knowing that it was known for being haunted. It is even said that people were attacked during their stays there. People would climb out the windows during the night to get away. Okay, some skeptics have argued maybe they were running away from paying the bill. But, who really knows? The main factors of this place would have been what they call the witch's room, which is more or less exactly that, because it's said to be haunted by a very dark, satanic kind of witch who escaped trials, escaped execution, but was found in that building and captured, and her ghost is said to still haunt the place. There is also the bishop's room, which is said to be one of the most active rooms in the building, where people have experienced kind of dark monks, a number of evil entities and dark sort of energies in this room that have been very disturbing. It was even said that plumbers were once working in there and witnessed a Roman centurion on horseback riding through the room straight through the walls. Now, the room that was occupied by John himself was said to have been inhabited by an incubus succubus, which is allegedly something that would sexually assault a living human. This happened to him on a number of occasions, and it was also reported to have happened to a number of guests who stayed in the place. Now, as I say, I've not been there myself. I'd love to go. This is something that you can look up online. This is something that you can actually visit if you find yourself in England. To this day, since John's passing, it is owned by his daughter, who does actually, run it as a tourist attraction. So it is something that, is accessible. So there we have, one of allegedly the most haunted, and I would certainly say notorious and spooky legends from the UK that I feel that would be of great interest to any paranormal enthusiast. Okay, once again, thank you for listening. Thank you, Neil, Steve, Jill, and all the team for having me again. I'll look forward to being with you again in due course. Take care. Bye-bye.
Well, that was Paul Garratt-Proctor from the UK, the Graveside Paranormal Spirits by the Graveside, reporter from the UK. I have to tell you, there was a succubus and an incubus over there. I think I know some people would pay some money to be going to that place. I don't know. It's just me saying, I don't know. But we're going to now go into our announcements. And what we have is our new MC for our announcements today, our very own little horror girl, Kylie. Welcome in, Kylie.
Hi, everyone.
Hey, Kylie.
How are you?
Hi.
How's it going?
It's going. Now, Kylie here is going to be the MC for Parapalooza this year. She's going to be announcing everything. So I want to start it right off by her announcing what's going to be going on with Parapalooza. Help us out, little horror girl.
So, hello, everyone. Parapalooza 4 is going to be happening this year in Bridgeville, Illinois, at a new facility called the Pavilion. It's actually attached to the Branding Iron restaurant, which is very good food, by the way. But it's going to be Saturday, July 23rd. We're going to have vendors from 12 to 6. Two very awesome cover bands. One cover band is Hellbilly Deluxe. It's a Rob Zombie tribute band. And then also Absolution, which is a ghost tribute band. And both of them, I've seen them both a few times. Phenomenal. There's also going to be Windy City Ghostbusters there. So we're very excited for them. And then Pat and Rebecca with Ghostly Podcast will be there. And then ghost tours all throughout the entire day. And of course, I will be hosting all day, doing announcements and whatnot, and more surprises to come soon too.
All right.
Nice.
Well, thank you, Kylie. There's definitely going to be a lot more announcements coming your way. We still have till July to get everything out.
Oh, yeah.
I'm expecting it to be a really good time. We're going to have tons of vendors. I reached out, me and Kylie. And by the way, Kylie, thank you for all your hard work that you're doing. She's doing a really great job for Graveside Paranormal. And we're reaching out to vendors, and hopefully we'll be getting a lot. And it'll be a very, very, very just nice time for everybody to have a good party atmosphere. So let's get right into what we want to talk about tonight. Best evidence. Now, when I thought about this, I thought about two groups. Now, this is actually the first time I'm meeting Zach, and I've met Elliot, and I've met Natalie before from ACG. So I want to bring in right now Natalie and Elliot from ACG, as well as Zach Wenzel from Blood Moon Paranormal. Hello, guys. Hello. How are you?
Hello.
Hello. We're all good.
As you guys know, hi. As you guys know, it takes a long time for certain groups to actually find any kind of evidence. You could go years upon years. You might not find anything whatsoever. But you guys have found some good stuff, so I thought I'd reach out to you guys, and you guys are going to put it out here for us and talk to the people about it. But I believe Jill has a question for ACG right off the bat. Jill, what's your question?
Yeah, Natalie and Elliot, everyone wants to know, and I know they've asked me, what even got you into this field, because it is a field, to even want to do something like this?
So I actually grew up in a haunted house, and I've had experiences my whole life. And when I moved out of that house, I kind of missed it. So I started exploring as a teenager by myself. I'd hop on the Metro to the city and just kind of explore all, El Capone's old spots, the Congress Hotel, the Drake, just to try to find what it was that I used to see and used to experience.
Mhm.
So I just kind of got hooked,
Yeah.
and been like that ever since.
Like that. It's a good thing.
Hooked.
Hooked.
I've always
Elliot.
loved like supernatural stuff and history, and my main thing actually is the tech. She would have ghost tech that she would buy, and I'd be like, well, I want to see what's inside this, so I'd start taking it apart. I'm like, oh, this is cool. I could build something kind of
Oh, cool.
make something different. So I really love building things specifically for certain spirits in different locations, like
Wow.
personalized stuff.
That's really cool. I can't build anything, so I'm especially impressed by you.
She's
I'm
still at
just
home with
throwing that out
crayons.
there. I'm not a builder.
It is nice because like I don't like I like the tech, but my favorite thing is EVPs. Just nice raw EVPs,
Totally.
and so I just hand it all to him and be like, "Here, check this out."
Good working relationship you guys have. I like it.
Thank you.
Good. And that brings me to Zach Wenzel.
Hello, hello.
Zach of Blood Moon Paranormal. What's going on, dude?
Nothing much. Just doing this podcast right now, right?
Zach, let me ask you a question. What got you into... Now, first, before I even get into that, I met Zach actually face-to-face last week at Jack's paranormal convention. And I have to say, his vendor area was probably the best out of everybody's area. Was the best. I even went up to him and I said, holy shit, dude, this is really cool. He built this little area to make it look like a scene. And I'm like, wow. Everybody else just has like little 6 foot by 6 foot tables, like a poster up. That's me. And this guy here, he goes and builds a freaking little studio. I have to say, Zach, that was really, really cool.
Yeah, thank you so much. Yeah, I kind of felt bad about it. I know I stressed Jack out a lot with that, so I feel bad about that too. But
don't worry about it. He'll get over it, man. Don't worry about it. Yeah, but Zach, I want to ask you, what got you into doing paranormal, buddy?
So I actually had my first experience when I was 8. I was going over to a friend's house, his grandparents' house actually, and we were going to play some GameCube on this old box TV, and there was a reflection on the TV of this painting in the background, and it was of a little girl. And I noticed that she was frowning. I'm like, that's kind of weird that you would have a little girl frowning in a painting. So I turned around and I looked at it, and she was smiling. And yeah, it was weird. I kept looking back and forth, and I kept having that phenomena happen. Again, I was 8 years old, so I was like, I'm just going to ignore it. I'm kind of scared of this stuff right now. And then in 2012, I finally decided to explore it a little bit, and yeah, got myself into it like that. So I actually own the painting now. So
yeah. And like take for instance Natalie. I know that she's a sensitive, right? Natalie, you're a sensitive.
Yes.
You're like you're the same. You're almost the same as me. Is like you hear the voices in your left ear, right? For whatever reason. And I've met a couple more people who have the same problem, Natalie. I don't know if I should use the word problem or they have the same issue where you hear it in your left ear, and I don't know why that happens. But it seems like the more and more you go to these things and you go and you investigate these places, the more it comes out. It's like you become more and more in tune with these things. Kylie also is a sensitive as well. We take her out on certain places, and she comes out and she helps out. Like we're going to be going to the Monroe House April 3rd, and we're going to try to do a live thing off our YouTube channel for that day and see what we can do. So, and do you ever notice, though, that you are so drained because of some of the things that, man, you need to take like 2-3 days off to not be bothered whatsoever?
Well, we were just on a week-long paranormal trip. So yeah, after 7 days, yes, definitely. I actually spent the last 2 days just eating cookies and, and sleeping.
Proof of that.
Yeah, I definitely needed to regain like my, just everything because, oh man, I think I might have pushed myself a little bit too much. We were honestly like 2 hours was like the max that we slept each night. And, like with that.
That's not healthy. That's not healthy whatsoever. But you know what? It's because you like doing what you do.
Oh, that's like you said, I'm hooked. It's like an obsession at this point.
Oh, yeah, definitely. Now, Zach, what about you? Do you have, other than just investigation, do you have any sensitivity or anything like that?
I talked to Bob Trizek about it, and I was like, sometimes I picture stuff in my head when I go to these locations. Maybe it's just an overactive imagination. I'm not sure. He told me to try to tap into it more, but honestly, I'm gonna get killed for this one. I have a hard time believing in like psychic mediums and stuff like that. Like, I'll believe someone when they tell me, but it's like at the same time, I just have a hard time believing it. I don't know.
No, I totally understand, because I've met some people that are basically, in other words, they're on bullshit. And it's not like I do it for a living where I all of a sudden start reaching out to people or anything like that. But you do start to, for the people who have this thing inside, you start noticing, like I said, the more and more you do it, the more it grows. And actually, I get sicker every single time I actually do these things. Like, I'll go home, like I was telling Natalie, it'll take about 2 or 3 days for me to really relax. But it's a lot of fun doing it, but you really have to watch yourself. But I understand what you're saying, that there are a lot of people out there on bullshit. And by the way, you were talking to good old Uncle Bob on the Bob Trizek show. He's one of my main guys. He's actually going to be doing tours for us in May and in June. I believe we're going to be doing that. He's going to be helping me out with some tours that we're going to be doing. So let's take that right into. Jill, did you have any questions for
I
Zach?
actually did have a quick question. You could both answer quickly if you want.
Sure.
How do you protect yourself? Do you go in there with a mindset? Do you go in there with a religious article? Do you go in there?
So
is there anything you do?
Me personally, I go in with a positive mind. I will not go do an investigation if I'm in a negative mood. I'll either sit it out, or I'll, let other people investigate, and I'll sit outside in the van. But and then on top of that, I do wear, crystals. I do have a friend who, she's a witch, and she blesses me, and, does the whole. I'm intrigued with all that stuff. I just don't practice it myself. Right. I wouldn't mind getting into it.
I was just curious.
Yeah, it does interest me.
I have certain things that I consider protective, and I consider a strong will, like my own aura around me to protect me. So,
right. I agree with
I'd be
that.
a target. See, that's why I'm here. They'd be like, get her. I'd be like, bye.
So, for the hell.
I know. Neil and I have talked about this quickly. I don't want to get away from the evidence, but
we're fine.
I'm very knowledgeable of this genre. I am. I've done years and years of reading and researching and on my own, but haven't done it because I've got this whole I don't want to go too far, and I don't want anybody following me home thing. So that's why I was just curious. What about you, Zach?
I actually don't use any protection. And that sounds really bad, but so I allow my crew to do whatever they need to do to protect themselves. Because I try to select people into my crew that are from all different types of religions and beliefs, and I just let them do what they need to do to protect themselves at these investigations. I'm more, even though I've caught a lot of great stuff, I'm still more on the skeptical side of things. So I don't know. Something follows me home, then we'll see, right?
So, Zach, have you ever had it where you felt like something did follow you home, though?
Yes, once, but it was only like within a dream, and after that, nothing else happened. So I was like, I just shrugged it off.
Okay. All right. That's very interesting. But, and what about you, Natalie and Elliot? Did you guys ever feel like you had anything come home?
Oh, yeah.
I feel like they take little trips sometimes, so they'll come to our house for like a week or two.
Freeloaders.
Our house is actually active. It's from 1873, so we do have ghosts here.
Oh, I love it.
But we do tend to pick up activity, and they kind of stay, we've noticed, for about a week, and then they head back. I think they were just as curious about us as we are of them. And then it's like, okay, you guys can chill here, but be cool.
Right. Now, I know the area that you guys live in, and you said your house was built in 1873.
Mm-hmm.
So is it made of limestone?
No, but we are right down the block. We're actually like 2 minutes from Joliet prison.
Yeah. I didn't want
to dear. I love that.
But yeah, because that place there in that area there is so huge on limestone. Like you see, like Stateville over there, all built of limestone. And so many things are built of limestone. For what we're talking about, ladies and gentlemen, is it's a very good conductive for supposedly the paranormal, the supernatural. Kylie, Do you have any questions for our guest today at all?
No, I don't think so. I mean, I know both of them, you know, a lot about them already, so I think I'm good, but I'm excited to hear the evidence next.
Oh yeah, that's definitely coming up, Kylie. And why don't we start that off now? Are you guys ready?
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, then let's start this up. First up is going to be ACG. What I need you guys to do is when I tell the video, when we show the video, then we're going to pull it back for a minute. Please explain what happened that day. The first one is Angelo Paul video with ACG. Natalie, go ahead, Steve, roll the film.
Did you hurt Angelo? That said Angelo.
Yeah, that 100% said Angelo.
Yeah, right there I hear Angelo. Take us through that day a little bit, Natalie.
That's actually at Hillview Manor. Angelo was a patient that was there, and the staff believes that he was murdered, but it was counted as a suicide in Angelo's bathroom in Angelo's hallway. So we were standing right outside of Angelo's bathroom when we caught that. That's through the SB7. And when that came through, it was super clear, Angelo. I'm glad I had, you know, I always like, even if the camera isn't pointing at something, I do like multiple cameras rolling, just because sometimes like cameras are closer to, you know, the spirit box, and it sounds, you know, more clear depending on the angle. So when I got that second angle with the black and white, the night vision camera, I was like, wow, that definitely said Angelo.
Yeah, I did hear that, especially on the second part of that video. So that takes us into the second one. We're getting a growl. Steve, can you roll it?
And we got, it's like a, and we got, it's like a.
What was that?
So what happened that day?
That was at Indiana State Sanatorium, one of my favorite places. That was the first time we went, and we were kind of all flipped around. We were on the 5th floor of the hospital, and we kept hearing like growls. And that one we caught, you know, and I heard it, and 2 other girls heard it. Once again, I had 2 camera angles. The first one was the one I was holding. The second one was my 4K that another girl was holding. And we were just like, what was that? Because we heard it like it was standing next to us.
Right.
And then the little EVP clip, that was just from that was actually like kind of the same growl, but that was a different time during the night. So it sounded like whatever was there definitely was trying to like get our attention, and it did. I had some crazy experiences that night, and I've just kind of been going back since. So
can you imagine that, Jill? You going out, hanging out with us, and all of a sudden you hear a growl?
If you ever want me wrapped around you, Neil, that's the way to do it. No, Sue, don't worry. Hey,
Definitely.
You know what?
Definitely.
No, I heard a popping noise in my bedroom. It was my husband's father that had passed. Medium confirmed it twice by the foot of our bed, like bubble wrap. And I was on top of him, like you could not separate us, like that bee.
In the bedroom?
Bees. Pardon me?
In the bedroom, you're on top of them?
In the bedroom, my husband and I were talking about his father. I had not met him that passed. And there was a like bubble wrap popping. And I'm like, did you just let one go? He's like, no, we were dating at the time. I'm like, oh, that's good. But what the hell was it? It happened twice. And it was as loud as can be. Present in the room. Went to a medium, not because of this, a couple months later, and she confirmed it. Mm-hmm. So yes, Neil, I was freaked out. I was like, please don't come back.
Okay. Now we're going to roll into the third one where it's laughing. Steve, roll it.
Yes, you're going to walk us to the hospital. Bobby and Mike, you guys are staying here by your... What the hell, mate?
We'll be back.
Shut up. Did you hear that guy? Did you hear?
Laughing?
Yes, it was a...
hell, mate.
We'll be back.
Shut up. Did you hear that guy?
What the hell, mate?
We'll be back.
Shut up.
Yeah, I definitely hear it. You hear like,
Yeah, she told me to shut up. That was Charisse.
So that was
Williams.
Indiana State again, and they just kept messing with our walkies.
Oh,
and
yeah.
Then it would laugh.
Yeah. So the girl that said shut up, that's Charisse, and she gets like oh my god, and I've been collaborating with her since. That's kind of what made us bond, was over that laugh. Oh my god. So I actually had that on 7 cameras. Once again, I love my camera angles. So it was kind of cool because I had literally an angle. I just put the 3 because like after 7 times of hearing the same laugh, that last clip was definitely the loudest though. And
it almost sounded like a clown, like a
And we're not the only ones that have caught like a weird clown type laugh.
Yeah, it was clownish.
So when we caught that, like, and me and I think 2 others, me, Sharif, and one other, were the only people that heard it. I'm like, how the rest of the group? I'm like, how did you guys not hear the laugh? And they were like, you know, like and that goes back to the thing, you know, Neil, that you were talking about. Charisse, I like collaborating with her because I do believe she hears kind of on the same level as I do. So we actually went back to ISS with Blood Moon, and there are times where me and her are kind of the only people that are hearing things. I did catch it. I will be releasing a YouTube episode of our collaboration together, but it's weird, you know, me and her, like, did you hear that? And it's there, but everybody else is kind of just like, you know, like even Elliot, like, I didn't hear anything. I'm like, come on, man.
Hey, I'm worried about checking batteries on stuff. I'm doing tech.
Sometimes you feel like you're going crazy, you know, like it's just like, did I really hear that? But when you have it caught on camera, it's like, oh yeah, it's there, you know, so it's a good confirmation.
Yeah, and it's also a sane thing to ask. Did I really hear that? You want to, because you want to disprove it before you could prove it, because we're rational people, right?
Yes.
Well, I think
I agree. All right. Thanks for sharing those ones with us, guys. They're great. Now, Zach, my new main man.
What's up? What's up?
What's up? What's up? All right. So, Zach, the first one that we're going to show is Ashmore Estates photo. Pull it up, will you, Steve? Tell us what we're looking at here, Zach.
So yeah, I know this looks a little blurry, and I was a little skeptical about it too. I had talked to the person that took this photo in our group. His name is Garratt, and I was like, "You weren't taking a picture of someone, right?" He's like, "No." So if you look to the left, you're gonna see like a shadow almost. That is just a painting on the wall. What you want to focus on is the middle area where it looks like the person is reaching for the door almost. I had it analyzed by several people, and they still. I'm trying to debunk it, man. I'm trying to debunk it really badly, but I can't. I don't know.
Yeah, to be honest with you, I don't know either. And I tell everybody, everybody's got their certain things that they specialize in, okay, or what they do. I'm not a photographer, so what I always try to do is I try to find a person who is actually more smarter than me, which is a lot of people. So I ask and I try to find these people, and I say, can, just like yourself, can you figure out what this is? I mean, it's a real photo or isn't it a real photo? But that's a pretty cool looking photo. I mean, if it's legit, I'd like to know what is the story behind that. Like we actually at one of the places we got a photo from was almost kind of like that from the Cook County Jail, where we get a shadow person showing up in the hallway, and it's almost similar to that. So could there have been a shadow person where you were at and just somehow or another reflection? Because was this at the end of the day? No, this was at 2:24 in the morning, correct?
Yes, this was during, it was nighttime. And we just had the lights on because they have lights there. One of the few places that has electricity, right?
Right.
So, and that's why I was asking, I'm like, is it someone, you're taking a photo of and you just move the camera? But like, I feel like there would be more, area of the person if it was someone, actually a person, so that's why I was like, I don't know.
Right.
I mean, you can see the definition. There's consistency with the black and white from the arm, if that is an arm and a leg, right? The shoe, almost like he's got a thicker gym shoe on.
Is there
what was that?
Is there a way to zoom in on that?
No, we can't zoom in on that. We were trying to do that earlier today.
I don't know.
Yeah, sorry. This is one from the Cook County Jail that was sent to me. This is in an old place. It's called the old RTU unit. As you can see, what happens is supervisors, they have to go through here when buildings are condemned, and they have to see the conditions. So these are all random photos that are done there. So this picture here, you can totally, it's almost similar to the same one that you have, Zach.
Oh yeah.
As you can see, like, the proportions to the body are very, very good, where you see a leg touching the ground and that back leg as well, and they're proportionate with the stance, right?
Correct.
So in here, you can see that as well. You see the stance where also they have 2 feet right there, of course, the left and the right, and they have a wide stance. And it looks very proportionate to the way someone would be standing. Does that sound correct?
Right. I agree.
Right. So I remember when we got one of those photos as well. That's a very good photo. I would definitely hold on to that for a long period of time, man.
I plan on it.
Our second one is from your Missouri Penitentiary at SLS. I find this one that we're about to see very interesting, actually. Go ahead and roll it, Steve.
Oh. No, I mean them saying, can you wave to us?
That's already enough for me. Oh, yeah, as soon as you said that, it spiked to yellow.
Can we get your prison number?
Welcome back. Hi. Thank you for coming back. Why are you here?
So what I find interesting about that is because you're at a chair where it's supposedly where people were executed. So a figure does show up in there. Now, the SLS is not a perfect machine, and I know this. Take, for instance, when we're at the Roth House, we constantly got near the lamps what looks like to be figures. It's not a perfect machine, but it's interesting when you start to make some kind of interaction with it, and things will move, like you'll say, raise your right hand or something like that, and that does happen. And the thing I found interesting about yours is because it was a place where people were executed, and a figure did show up into it. But we also, being in the field that we're in, that's just an anomaly. We can't say it was a spirit. We cannot say it was a ghost, but it was just that of anomaly, something that was there that probably should not have been there. And I think that's the only conclusion that you can make with something. Would you correct me on that at all?
Yeah. Actually, since then, we tried using the SLS a little more, and we found that we were having issues. Actually, like it was capturing like a pillar, So we actually stopped using it after using it so many times, because it's just like you said, it's not a perfect machine at all. Like it has a lot of flaws to it that need to be fixed, and
Right.
I think it could be a perfect machine eventually, but right now it's absolutely not. And
Yeah, because for people who don't know, the SLS, number one, you're spending a lot of money for something that you can buy at like a game store for like $15. The Connect itself, and all it is just grabbing a Connect and making sure your HDMI's are in there, and you've got a plug for that, and you have a Microsoft Windows on there. That's all you really truly need to actually do that. You can build it. Where some places, don't get me wrong, I bought one. But it's something that you can actually do, and like you said, they've never updated a system like that. People are still using, like myself, like you, are using an old Connect system. Would it be great that they all of a sudden come up with something like that? That would be awesome. That could do a little bit better job. Yes.
The hard thing with the SLS is it works off of infrared dots. So it does. They need to. It would be so cool, and I've been trying to figure out a way to make a better system for that, because if we could get that down, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I agree. And it's a good idea. It's amazing how people come with technologies, and you find out that they're utilized for something else, like as in looking for ghosts, if you will. But Jill, do you have anything to say?
Well, even if you said maybe that wasn't an image there or whatever, you did hear the voice at the end. It was very
Right.
It was very quiet, but yeah,
it was
there.
quiet, but it was audible.
And
So
that's what we try to
interesting.
explain to a lot of people, Jill, is
Mhm.
that a lot of the videos that we put out, as well as much as Zach and Elliot and Natalie put out, we try to tell people wear headphones because
Right.
you have different forms of EVPs. You got a Class A, a Class B, a Class C,
Mhm.
EVP. When you have Class E, I mean A, everybody hears it. When you start getting a lower class, then you start having problems. We ask people to go ahead and place headphones on their ears because people come up to you, I don't hear shit.
Okay.
Okay, I understand that. You got to put on some headphones. You got to have to listen to this. And you got to take everything with a grain of salt when you get all these evidence and stuff as well. So
Right.
that takes us into the third one.
I have
which
I have
is-
one thing to
Yeah,
mention
go ahead.
about that real quick that I just thought was cool. So actually I did some research on it, and if you notice in the clip, it actually slumps over at some point, and around the time that it slumps over is the time that the gas hits you, and you know, you start getting affected by it and you start to like pass out. So I thought that
So
was
let
super
me ask
cool.
you this
Oh, you
then.
mean the
So
time
you knew,
lapse.
go ahead, Jill. What were you saying?
Sorry, Neil. You mean the time lapse of when that would happen in real
Yeah,
life?
so like when the figure, if technically if the gas started as soon as the figure showed up, at
Mhm.
the point that the figure slouches over is usually when the person getting gassed ends up slouching over from the gas.
Really?
Yeah.
So you researched what the time lapse on that
Yeah.
from gas to death.
Yeah, so I did gas to death, I did gas to like passing out, and from my research, it's around when they pass out. So not necessarily death, because death is like 10 to 18 minutes after they start, but then like passing out, I think was like 7 minutes in, somewhere around there. So
Oh, wow.
Wow, that's
Except
some
now,
really
Zach,
good
the cops
research
are going to
too.
be at your house.
right.
I was wondering why you're researching these things now. Adding a little humor.
Yeah. That's really good. I like that, Zach. That's awesome. So, all right, that takes us into our third one, the Eyes at the Rhodes Hotel. Now, I talked to you about this. I want you to listen clearly. I actually hear another voice in the background. And I told Steve that the minute that we started watching and listening. So, Steve, hit that video for us real quick.
Let's go, everybody. It is cold as hell up here. Oh, gosh. Let's go, everybody. It is cold as hell up here. Oh, gosh.
So when she says it's cold as hell out there, you hear a gritty, garbling voice. I want you to just roll that one more time, Steve, and I want everybody just to pay attention where she says it's cold as hell out here. And before you hear her voice again, in between when she says it's cold as hell out here, you hear a gritty, garbly voice, and then you hear her start talking again. But it's like really quick. Go ahead, Steve, roll it.
Let's go, everybody. It is cold as hell up here. Oh, gosh. Let's go, everybody. It is cold as hell up here. Oh, gosh.
Did you hear that?
I think I might have heard it. I don't know, because there was in the background you hear another one of my investigators talking as well. It's another female. I don't know if that's maybe what you're hearing. Not too sure.
Maybe.
So.
I mean, it just
What did it sound like, Neil? That you heard?
What's that?
What did it sound like to you? Because
It sounded like a disembodied voice, like it was just
like that.
Yeah, did you hear that?
I did hear that the last time, but I really don't know if
I
that's what
couldn't
you're
make it
talking
out
about.
because I played it like 5 times to try to make it out. Kylie, did you hear that at all?
I did hear it, yeah. But I don't know if it's like a voice that she had made, like, because she was like, shh, like shivering. So I don't know if she did that and then
Yeah, maybe.
noise. So
Right. What about you, Natalie? Did you hear it at all?
I heard something.
Yeah.
The thing is, like, I wasn't there, so it's very hard to like really pinpoint, what
Yeah,
what is what.
What was the most interesting part about that video is definitely those eyes. But you want to know when you put those. Now I didn't know that you put in that picture of the raccoons at
Yeah.
first. So at first I'm looking at it, I go, bunch of raccoons. Because there's a bunch of raccoons in the corner, and I'm like this. I'm like, oh, there's raccoons. Because I thought those were real.
No, so I actually put that in. I took out the part of me talking over it because I was like, man, my voice is annoying, so I don't want to hear myself talk.
Yeah.
But I put that in there to just show that like raccoon eyes are closer than what was up there.
Right.
So like the distance between the eyes are closer than what we were seeing. So yeah, that's
I did notice that, and I looked at that as well. And now that you say it, that was good to put that in there because the distance is for raccoons is much closer than the ones that you were seeing for which were much wider. That was actually a pretty cool video. So then that takes us into our fourth video. I believe this was at the Joliet State Prison. The loud bang.
Are you okay? Yeah, I'm fine, but I don't know if that was maybe my messing with me or if I actually heard like it.
Is that you?
Or if I actually heard like it.
So, how many people were there with you that day?
So we actually had like 12 people with us, but we were all split up into different buildings. There was like, I think we had access to like 6 or 7 buildings. That was at Death Row on the 2nd floor. The only thing is our tour guide was sitting out in the hallway. But when we went out there, she was like trembling, like scared, sitting in a chair, trembling. She was so terrified because that noise was closer to her than it was to, any of the people that were in that cell.
Yeah.
So
a lot of people don't know until you really start doing these things. A lot of prisons and jails and this and that is a lot of negative activity that has happened throughout the years. And when you go into these places, you actually start noticing the negative activity that happens. And some of that negative activity, just like earthbound spirits, they stay there because it's built up so much. I mean, you have murderers, you have rapists, every worst person in the world has always been there. So then it all of a sudden becomes just a cesspool of complete evil. And then you start getting all these weird little things that start happening in all these institutions.
Yeah, and
So
that was
go ahead.
That was Death Row right there. So that's the worst of the worst, So
oh yeah.
Yeah, they were pretty scared after that. My whole crew was and stuff. So.
That's good. So Jill, what do you think?
Unless you can't hear, everyone heard that bang.
Right. It actually sounded like a piece of wood or a bat on the wall. Like, or if it was a nightstick from like a residual where it was hitting the side of the wall to get attention.
And that was actually the second bang we heard in that area that night. The first one was a little earlier in the night, and it was with a second or a different group of people because I split them all up. It was like Group A, Group B, and Group C. They were all split up like that. So yeah, that was the second time we heard something like that up in that area.
Okay, cool. Thanks. Now the last one is your fifth one, Footsteps, Orbs. Steve, please. Now where were you at?
We were at Cheney Mansion in Jerseyville, Illinois.
Okay. Now what's odd about this is when you see those two orbs, they actually look like impressions. If you were to look at someone stepping and you look at their gait, that's the way someone walks, it almost is like there's impressions going on the floor. Could it have been light anomaly? Yes. But what's odd about it is that it actually kind of looks like impressions. I mean, does anybody else kind of see that as well?
I think I know what you're saying.
Yeah.
Just
it's the impressions like almost
of in which they step.
Yeah, and they're pressing. Yeah, that they're pressing down, and I think that's actually pretty cool. But once again, it's a thing that like I'm sure there's probably a million people who go, oh, that's some bullshit and this and that. But once again, I appreciate things like that because it's something that they can't explain and something that you can't explain. But nonetheless, it's an anomaly.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, I'm not a huge orb person either. So like when I saw that, and it's really hard to hear, but I was able to hear the footstep noises my investigator was hearing. You notice she reacts to it by moving the camera more towards the direction of the doorway where the footsteps happen on the upper camera. So I was like, I mean, the footstep noises are happening, and then you see the two orbs step and step. I was like, all right, it has to be something, because I don't know, I'm not an orb person. So I was like, all right, maybe I need to start.
It backs it up. Yeah.
It's really hard with orbs, like it really is. Like I actually try to stay away from them.
Yeah.
I really try to, because you really don't know unless something's like glowing and it's making intelligent moves towards you and back from you or something like that, which I've never come across, which I would love to. But it also you have to take everything with a grain of salt with those ones. So what we're going to do now is we are actually going to show you some Graveside, a couple of them. The first one is what we always call Sounds of Souls. This is probably the best EVP we ever got at a place called Whispers Estate. Have you guys ever been there? Yeah. Oh, man, that place. Go ahead, Steve. Roll it. I welcome you now to Sounds of Souls.
Anything on the SMS? Nothing, nothing. I hope you didn't drain my... No. Something touching my leg? If you touch my leg, touch it again.
So that was at Whispers Estate. That was probably the best EVP. I mean, we've come across some really good ones, but I always liked that one. That was actually one of our guys' names, James, and Steve's brother, Tom, were in that closet, and supposedly people get attacked inside that closet.
Lovely.
I didn't want to go in there. I'm a very delicate man. So they decided to go inside there, and I actually went up to both of them, and I told them, because I thought because it was so clear, I go, listen to me. I go, just be honest with me. Don't tell me you're bullshitting me, man. I go, if you're lying, just say you're lying. I go, because that stuff is very clear. And I go, because I'm going to put that out there if it's real. I don't want someone to come back to me and say, oh, that's some bullshit, Gibby. I don't want to hear that stuff. So that was one of the things. Can you imagine if you went with us on one of those ones, Jill?
I'm imagining all these things, Neil. And you know what? I want to. I like it. You guys are laughing at me, and I'm okay with that. I'm secure in my womanhood to be laughed at. Oh, go ahead.
It's crazy that you played that, Neil, because you're the fourth person to bring up Whispers Estate to me, within the week. So now I feel like
now it's a sign.
Yeah, especially with those EVPs were incredible.
Those are great.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back there. That and the Sally House. That one there.
That thing is creepy.
So,
yeah, that place is.
I want to jump in here because I was at Whispers Estate, and Neil opening by itself. If folks go watch our video on Whispers,
that video,
crazy. And that door was like a heavy door. It sticks, right? Like you were telling it. If you're here, open the door after. Telling a little kid ghost in that room, right? Story, and it was telling these little stories. What was it? The Three Little Pigs.
I was doing the Three Little Pigs story. One of the things I've learned from doing the things that we do is, if you're dealing with a child's spirit or something like that, do what children like. Tell a story. And so what I did is I sat inside that room and I told the Three Little Pigs story. And I said, if you want to hear another story, we'll open up one of the doors. And 2-3 minutes later, all of a sudden, this big heavy door, it opens up.
That's sad.
And we're like this, damn. But it was pretty cool. But me and Steve were both because we're both in the room at the same time. We're like, holy shit, time to go home, time to call my mom. But that'll take us now into a place actually where Kylie came with us at the Forge located in Blue Island, Illinois. Now, let me just tell you a little bit about the Forge. We came across this spirit that we have no identification on. We call it the presenting ghost. And you'll hear it just go, every time when it wants to be noticed. We have no idea who this paranormal person could be, this ghost, if you will, could be, but we constantly got it 3 times. It has some backstories of a suicide as well as underground tunnels inside the place. We did get some pretty damn good activity. Kylie, that was a pretty good one, wasn't it?
It was, yeah.
Yeah. So we're going to show you right now the Forge, the presenting ghost. Me and Kylie are at the door. You can hear faintly the ah of a girl screaming.
Jimmy, did you hear anything?
I heard something when you said scream again. There, you didn't fuck around. No, I swear to God, I heard the radio. I would like the walkie-talkie. I heard that too on the stairs. Really? Yeah. You got to see it.
Then Steve and Kylie, both with cameras on them. Kylie has GoPro camera 2. Steve has GoPro camera 1. And they're both up in the same area behind the bar walking. And they both get the voice of this girl's voice that we are calling right now the presenting ghost. As in, I'm presenting myself to you.
I heard something, but I didn't hear it. Like it's hard to make
What
out.
is it back here?
Yeah, but I didn't hear the walkie-talkie. Like it sounded
I
like.
saw a shadow,
It
but
sounded
there
like-
is
like
a window.
Yeah, but I didn't hear the walkie-talkie. Like it
I
sounded
thought I
like.
saw a shadow,
It
but
sounded
there is
like a police
a
race.
window. So I think I was just getting.
You know what's weird? Last time.
So we have evidence that both cameras are picking up this voice on the regular audio. Not an EVP, not the Anahata box. This is getting very interesting.
All right, let's everybody go to the other room, and then we're gonna take a break and talk about what we heard.
Yeah, but no, my phone was on silent. I still have it on silent and everything.
Yeah.
I didn't want to have no. I didn't want to interfere with any of your, you know.
Right.
Oh, you're fine.
Yeah, it wasn't coming from you.
But I heard that shit kind of freaked me out. Where I didn't want to be down there no more. So.
Yeah, I saw it. I just put it down
See, like now
now.
I'm touching it.
I think that we were just here.
It's going off, of course.
a
So-
apparition of a woman going down into the basement.
No, you didn't.
I swear to God.
All right, well, we should have been able to
Was your
catch
camera
that.
on? No. But
Hold on, we got
I saw-
cameras going right here.
I know it's
What did you just see?
an apparition of a woman going. I think it was there.
Sorry.
You know, I've never heard that.
It could be.
Because maybe.
As you see us start to walk out of the bar area, behind the bar area, you see one of our EMFs go off blue. Then, seconds later, we hear this lady again, our presenting ghost. Could she have been walking with us that made the detector, the EMF detector, go off? And as we turned that little corner there, she decided to present herself again. Like I said, this is getting interesting.
I think
So-
that's the night that I left, isn't it?
What's that?
That's the night that I left, right?
Yeah, you left, I think like an hour before we did. Yeah.
Yeah, because I was not feeling right after.
Yeah, you didn't feel good. And that place there, nothing major happened, but we got one of the things I like to tell people is about this is that you guys use GoPros, right? You guys use your ghost cameras and stuff. I'm going to tell you, if you want to catch disembodied voices, use these GoPro cameras. They pick up things. They're very good at picking up disembodied voices. It's not the first time that we've had that happen. So for the people out there who are doing getting into paranormal and investigations, also use these GoPro cameras because they actually pick up some very good evidence, as you heard with the presenting ghost. Did you hear all that, Jill?
I did, and I'm laughing inside because that was one of the first things you invited me to.
Oh yeah, that's right.
Yes, because I was like, oh yeah, I used to go to a bar in Blue Island, but that's a separate show.
Totally
So
different story.
yeah, that what was that?
I said probably a totally different story.
Different story, different show. Yeah, I heard it.
Yeah.
Sounded like almost like a teenager, young lady.
Maybe so. It actually went through a lot of different owners at that place. But you know what? I'd like to thank everybody. This kind of ends up the end of the show. We could probably talk about the stuff for hours upon hours, which is always cool, especially if like you have a beer and maybe a shot of Jack, and everybody could have a very good time. But this does end our show. I want to thank ACG Paranormal, Elliot and Natalie for coming out. Zach Wenzel of Blood Moon Paranormal. ACG, what do you got going on that you want to tell anybody?
Check out haunted documentaries.
haunted documentaries. We have some pretty cool stuff coming out.
We're gonna be at a bunch of conventions coming up.
Yes, we're going to quite a few Paracons over the summer. We're going to be representing both ACG and haunted documentaries, so we'll have stickers. You guys like stickers?
Cool. Hopefully, maybe you guys can come out to Parapalooza.
Yeah. Just shoot me an invite. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. And Zach, what do you got going on?
We have our video going up at Rhodes Hotel, Chapter 2, going up actually Tuesday, where we get to finally try to debunk those eyes. And spoiler alert, we don't.
Okay.
So that's pretty cool. Check out our YouTube channel. We have 40 investigations up right now and forever growing. So all of that, Instagram, TikTok, Facebook, all that stuff. So, yeah.
Good. Well, thanks again, guys, for coming on tonight. Jill, as usual, thank you for coming on.
Thank you. Nice to meet you guys.
Yep. And Kylie, the MC for Parapalooza 2022. The LilHorrorGirl.
I'm really glad you enunciated that.
See, we talked about this, so I have to make sure that I enunciate very well on this. Kylie, thanks for coming on.
Thank
and
you.
And like always, boys and girls, boo.